We're talking about a P0171, man. That's a lean code, Brian. I like oxygen sensors, map sensors, O2 sensors. I can check the sensor in the wire harness. I got somewhere to go. This one, not so much.
Yeah, and the stakes are high when you got a lean code. You can do a lot of damage, and that ECU and all the other sensors are working so hard to compensate, you got to solve this one. So logically, I'm thinking we start with fuel pressure.
A good one, because think about too much air, not enough fuel. We got vacuum leaks. Think about clogged fuel injectors. And on this car, really important, the fuel filter is located in the tank. And when it's in the tank, we really can't check it. This is the right way to go. Brian, put your expertise and your magic on this joker. I'll set up a demo.
Thank you very much. Folks, seriously, today's ECUs and all the other sensors and engine management work hard to keep this thing running smoothly, even though we had a code. There were no drivability symptoms here. So, to get a fuel pressure check, you got to have the right tool for the job. You want safety goggles, and you got to relieve first the pressure in the fuel system. We've done that with the Schrader valve outside, so we don't have wet gas in here and fumes and all those things to deal with. So, it's very simple. On the Mazda 3, there's a clamp right here. Roll it up around. Don't break it, just take your time here. It actually helps if the engine's a little bit warm because it makes this a little more elastic. You get this clip off, and now get a rag down underneath. We've relieved it, but I just don't want any fuel dripping down anywhere near anything else on the engine. We're going to take this connector off, and here is the feed coming from the fuel pump. You can see it right here. So we're going to come to the inbound side of our fuel pressure gauge, get this connected, then we're going to connect up the outbound side to that same connector, get a reading here, we'll start the vehicle, we'll validate or find a problem there. But John, can you tell us please, what does lean really mean?
Now, how does it work, and how does the car actually know it's lean? Well, I got a fuel injected engine right here, man. I love this thing. We fire it up. Man, it's actually Command Corrects Conditions, CCC. Keep that in mind. It's all about the computer here, my friend. This is actually the command. What's going on? Well, you look at the graphic there, you can see it's actually going rich, lean, and he's making that decision. How does he make the decision? Well, it's the oxygen sensors, one of the biggest players. Now, he's located right down there in the oxygen stream. Look at this here. You can actually see a good one's fluctuating from rich to lean. Up in the right-hand corner, well, that's too rich. It's way up there too long. The condition down there, there's too much fuel. Now, our car over here, I'm suspecting it looks like the bottom left down there. It's way down there on the lean. It's not developing a lot of millivolts, so it's staying there lean. If it stays there too long, bam, P0171. That's what Brian has. Then we get to the injector. Here's the injector right here, and they're located right here on the throttle body. This is all fuel injected. So what happens? Well, if you look at the top right there, 5% is not a lot of fuel. So what it's doing, it's trying to take away fuel because there's a rich condition. Now, if it was 50% along the line, it's happy. It's running perfect. 50% on and off, we're good. We're trying for that 14.7, that stoichiometric number. That's what we're looking for. The bottom one, well, that's real on time. That's probably what we have on our car because it's a lean condition. It's making up with the fuel. Now, our car is running super lean, so we're probably getting that big fuel dumped in there, and he may not even notice that. Now, Brian's not fueling around over there. Let's check in with him.
There it is. Okay, so I've checked and rechecked to make sure I've got the factory clamp back on. This is a tight and secure connection. You don't want any safety issues here when you're doing this. So the next step is to fire this thing up and see what kind of fuel pressure we got. Hey, John, can you fire this up for us?
Hey, I got you covered.
All right, we're going to watch the pressure come up. Got a rag here just for any drippage. We're good. Running, comes up, it settles, and we're right at a constant 55, and that's right within spec. So this part of the diagnosis is done. We're getting plenty of fuel at the right pressure up here to the fuel rail. So deeper diagnostics coming your way. You saw it, the fuel system pressure check was all good. So buddy, it's time for level 2 of diagnostics.
Yeah, remember we got too much air in this car, not enough fuel. So it's time to check a vacuum leak. And what better way to do that with our Smoke Pro Total Tech, man. This joker puts out a ton of smoke. That's hugely important, especially when we're dealing with vacuum leaks. But think about it, exhaust leaks, intake leaks, you know, we're dealing with those pesky evaporative emission codes and lines to the fuel tank, to the fuel cap, even inside the cab for wind noises. This thing puts out a ton of smoke. But what I really like, Brian, right here, this bladder, check this out. I can pump this thing up and it swells up and fits any intake manifold. That's big
That's
time.
perfect, because we don't have to open up any other evap lines, any other vacuum lines in the engine. We can start literally furthest upstream at the source of air. So that's a brilliant machine. The other thing they do, they've done this before, because they figured out we need a searchlight to try to track down any smoke here.
That keeps the integrity of all those lines, so you're not creating your own problem, because once you disconnect those evap lines, you can do it every time. Now I got it hooked up to a shop air source right here. It's just as simple as pushing the button, bam, come over here, open it up, and guess what?
It blows
at
almost as much smoke as you.
That thing is heavy. So
me
I come
some.
down here. Now the beautiful thing is I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to turn it on. Now when I turn it on, it's actually passing through the middle of this bladder, going into the intake manifold. So guess what? I didn't bust a line off at all. I know I'm in good shape. Now we're just a matter of finding the leak, Brian.
A little something right here, buddy. Here we go. Track this down, see if I can feel it. There's an elbow right here. There you go. I just felt it breathe. Let me get this elbow off and see.
Ooh,
there it is.
Pouring
There's
out
something.
of there. Yep.
There you go. And there's the elbow of the culprit. You could call that a broken elbow on an evap line, or you could call it a lean code. I think that's our culprit.
Exactly. And you think about that for a minute. I see it's cracked right there. It's probably in the seam. Totally normal. But on the evap system, kept driving along, that may even cause an evap code. The check engine light, it caught it with lean. But once again, that's way too much air. That oxygen sensor's down there going, hey man, hey, we're lean. We're super lean. You know what the computer does? Bam, compensates. Injectors go rich. So the driver doesn't even know it. He's driving down the road, everything's great, but gas mileage?
Not good. I'll bet that was a symptom he didn't realize his fuel economy was down, because that ECU was desperate all along the way to keep it at 14.7 to 1. So that's an impressive catch. The other thing that's really important here, it's not a big, fancy, high-performing moving part we're replacing, but you think about avoidance. All the injectors that we didn't hurt, anything in the ignition system that we didn't hurt, because we caught that problem.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's connected to the evap lines. We have all these evap connectors, the fuel lines coming in, the intake. What about the intake manifold gasket?
huge.
You got two pieces here, bolted two, underneath, everything. I can go into the exhaust system. I mean, this is changing that mixture, that upsetting that whole mixture, everything we're talking about this season.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm going to head back to the rockauto.com shelf, see if we got a new evap line, and we're going to get this joker fixed.
Well, you take a short break, but not a long one, because we're wheeling out the LS engine, man. We got our project LS lesson coming up right after the break. There's more Tech Garage presented by rockauto.com.